Hey guys, welcome back to Kampai Sugai podcast. If you're listening now, you don't know who my guest is, which is fine. Don't worry about it. But we're not doing a video podcast this time, which is pretty cool. We're doing it in person. And this is new for me because I don't usually sit on a chair on this set. I don't usually sit on a chair in general because I usually work off of sitting off the ground.
Well, I can't sit on the ground, so...
yeah, you can't sit on the ground, but that's okay. I don't mind sitting on a chair for once. This is a new perspective for me.
I'm helping your floor here as well, too, so...
Well, but this is also good because I don't usually get a backrest. So I can actually kind of lean back a little bit, but I usually have to have a good posture the whole time. I don't have a good posture on my other episodes, but yeah, this is great. This is a long time I've wanted you on the podcast, and but it's crazy because now you're on it on the new set now, which is pretty cool. So ladies and gentlemen, longtime friend of mine who's a car enthusiast, I want to say, business owner, barbecue pit master.
I eat, that's why.
Yeah, well, I tell people if you're hungry, then you get creative with your cooking. So, anyway, Keali'i Kane, guys, thank you. Give a round of applause for him. Only me, I guess.
How's it going, everybody? I've known Gavin for quite a few years.
I was 9th grade when we first met.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long.
Car enthusiast only because I known the Death Trap first. So yes.
We can talk about the Death Trap.
Well, you know, it was definitely one where you didn't have to worry about using the door handle to open the door. All you had to do was roll the window down. And as soon as you rolled the window down all the way, the door just came flying open. So driving on the H3 was definitely an experience to handle. So
that's true. I had a 2000 Toyota Corolla, and if I rolled the window down, it would instantly unlock the door, push it open. So yeah, it was a death trap, but it lasted me a long time now.
It did, and it was definitely fun. You know, we didn't have to worry about putting ramps on one side to get on two wheels. All we had to do was just put you on one side, me on the other side, and Mike in the back, and rock back and forth, and
or Maria in the back seat. Yeah. Well, she would have to sit on my side to level up the car a little bit.
Yeah, but it was more of like a 8-ball action going on back there because she's so small. So every time that we rocked back and forth, she was just flying around back there. So it was a lot of fun back then. You know, some good memories. So
we were driving Keali'i. We were heading to a meeting, and I hit over one of the, I don't know if it was a speed bump or something, and the car kind of got some air a little bit. I think Maria was in the back seat, but I was driving.
You could hear the growling.
And you could, well, I heard the tires just kind of like, the car kind of scraped the bottom a little bit, but it was, you know, the shocks are already bad enough. I'm surprised the car just didn't come unloose then. But, yeah, that was part of the death trap, you know. We had some good times in that car.
You had to have that fine line of fun and not dying and not dying to make it fun. And we drew that line and put a little bit of a couple of arms over that line, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we were younger back then.
Yeah.
We could do stuff like that.
I think also the times that we lived in back then too allowed us to, you know, do the things that we did back then. And then the people too, you know. A few of the officers that we knew back then was like, hey guys, come on now. And then we're like, yeah, but that was a lot of fun. And he was like, yeah, that was pretty funny, but just don't do it again. You know, versus nowadays when it's just, everything is so serious nowadays, and you can see it going across. And so, you know, just remembering all the fun back then with Mike, Chris. I miss that guy. He's been, gone too soon. It's been about 6 years, but we still remember him.
Shout out to Sears.
Yep.
Shout out to Sears.
Sears Windward Mall. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody knew the games that we used to play at Sears Windward Mall.
The hiding.
Yeah.
The hiding we used to do when we worked there.
And, it was pretty simple, If there was a Gatorade on the register, you were okay. But if it was Saturday morning and there was a bottle of water and some ibuprofen, you're not going to see nobody for a little while. You're going to have to call on the phone. So
Yeah, they were Kampai the night before,
yeah, most definitely. And but you know what that did, though? That helped build a relationship that we did that allowed the team to perform with the things that we do. I mean, you remember how many boxes we used to throw around back then?
Yeah.
What's his name used to come out and what was his name, the manager back then?
Ian.
Ian.
Yeah.
He used to come out and just be like, hey guys, what's going on? You guys are laughing around too much. And I was like, oh yeah, so we're having fun. You gotta have fun at work. And then, he is the boss, but he didn't get it at the time. And then in an hour later, all of a sudden, 150, 200 boxes full of cases, all gone. Wait, what happened? It's like, fun is what happened. So, and then, we went from riding around in cars, doing crazy stuff. We got into food. Just kind of, at the time, it was just testing out, different recipes, just kind of having fun with it. And it was something that we seen that was just like, hey, we don't have that around in Hawaii, but I bet you that tastes good. And we tried to figure out how to make it. That turned into a lot of crazy fun because we ended up getting our hands on some ghost chili. Shout out to Andy Salsa because he hooked us up with some ghost chili peppers. And this was in the raw, and he was just hooking us up with that. We chopped it up, threw it. That's my first time I threw it in a burger. And all I did was I chopped it up real fine. I put it in some mayonnaise and put it on the burger. And I ate a quarter of this burger, and I could not speak at all. And then I thought, who else can I get to suffer like this?
Also, you thought of me when you thought of the suffering.
Oh, you were one of them.
Oh, okay.
You were one of them.
I can think of some others.
Yeah. And then, we started coming across the night. It probably wasn't a good idea, but we had a business meeting this night. Chime in if you remember it. We were all dressed up.
Yeah, we were dressed up. I was forgot what we were watching, or we were playing Call of Duty. I forgot what we were doing, but
we had some extra time.
Yeah, we had some extra time,
and
because the meeting was at 8.
Right.
Yeah.
And my wife is adamant about eating on time because it's a lot healthier that way. And when I don't eat and I'm at a business meeting, of course my stomach starts talking louder than I'm talking. So we decided we're gonna make some curry, and so we made some curry, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of this ghost chili and chop it all up and throw a little bit of it in a side pot and just make some, and it's gonna wake us up so that way we can, you know.
I didn't do any research, too. I didn't know what this thing was. All right. I just thought it was a chili pepper, and it was something that I was like, okay, it's spicy. I mean, whatever. I'm not good with spicy. I didn't know what a ghost chili was. Okay. All right. And I remember I came over. You told me you had ghost chili curry, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's exotic. I didn't know what a ghost chili was. I think that was my first time trying ghost chili peppers. For our audience at home, Keali'i is the one that's put me through some pain with a lot of different dishes. Self-inflicted because I chose to do these, but I didn't understand the risk, but I did it anyway. So the one he's talking about, we had a meeting one day, meeting at 8 p.m. We were done with work. We were all dressed up, suit and tie, everything, and then we had these ghost chili curry. It was the Indian curry, the ones with the blocks, for people that know which one that is. But yeah, had ghost chili curry, and I took a good bowl. I was thinking, oh, it's just curry, and I just ate it like regular curry, and we were dying, literally. I mean, maybe a few bites in, and I was like, wow, this thing is hot, or I thought it was hot in the room. And
well, it kind of masked too because it was temperature hot.
Right.
So when we were eating it, you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And then when it hit, it was like, oh my gosh. And we turned all the fans on in the house. And then we started stripping down. We took our ties off. We started unbuttoning our shirt.
Untucking shirts too,
We were still young at this age. So, I bought my wife a Ford Explorer, but it didn't have air conditioning at this time.
Yeah.
So we were driving from Kailua to the Blaisdell. All the windows were down. Mm-hmm. We were sweating so bad. None of us had brought extra clothes. And it was just, by the time we got there, it looked like we ran a marathon. Yeah. And we was just...
I think we were late, too.
Yeah, we were late.
So we sat in the back, I remember. we sat in the back. We were late. And, nobody said anything about it. I don't think so. Right? Nobody said anything.
Well, I remember a friend of ours was kind of texting me. He was like, hey, where are you guys at? I was like, oh, we're here. We're just in the back, and we're walking in.
That's right.
And I was like, hey, Duck, we're going to come sit over here. Yep. And it was perfect timing because they just finished with, the introduction, and they started getting into, the meat and potatoes of the meeting. And so we were able to see everything, but we were still sitting in an area where we were able to feel the breeze. So we were able to cool down a little bit. By this time, it
was still hot, though. I mean, the AC was blasting, but it was hot, though. I mean...
And we didn't know anything about milk at this point.
Looking back at it, we should have put sour cream. That probably would have helped.
Yeah, that probably would have.
We had sour cream with the curry, right?
Yep.
But see, I wasn't experimenting with food at the time. So now I experiment. Now I know I should have just put sour cream in there. But
and then fast forward, maybe a year. No, maybe not even a year. A couple of months later, and it was a birthday party that we set up for. It was right at the beach, and we had brought out the whole 9 yards. We had everybody come, and do you remember who it was for? Was it for?
I want to say it was. Was it Noy's one?
Was Noy's birthday?
I thought it was Noy's.
Yeah. And
Kaylee's daughters, by the way.
Yeah, it was for my daughter, and everybody showed up. And just so happens we had just got a couple of days.
Beach, by the way.
Yeah, right where the pavilion is, we were able to set up a full table and everything, tents up, and we the 2 days prior we seen Andy, and we got some chilies.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay.
So we went ahead and we're like, hey, let's make some ghost chili wings. And, we by this time, Gavin already knew, so we brought it up to him, and he's like, let's do it. But this time, we're going to...
for $20.
Yeah.
We made a bet for $20 if I eat this chicken sandwich that you guys concocted.
So that came... Like, we went ahead and told everybody about it. And we got this whole, group was just like, hey, try this wing. I challenge you, and, whoever can eat it. Mm-hmm. But by this time, it was like people were dying and everything. And then
after one wing, not even soaked in the sauce, really.
So by this
it's
time...
like little drizzles of it.
By this time, Gavin is already walking around with that... Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I had the curry, man. Well, why are you guys crying? You one wing. Most of it is bone. So we're like, oh, what do you... So we're like, hey, yeah, man, he's had it. And he's like, dude, I'll give you $20 if you eat a sandwich. And oh, my God. It turned into getting a chicken sandwich that got dipped in the wing sauce.
The bun was dipped in the wing sauce. The ghost chili wing sauce. Keep in mind, this wasn't just ghost chili peppers. There was other peppers and stuff inside as well. Soaked in. I don't know how many wings. I think it was like 6 wings that you guys broke apart and you soaked it in the sauce.
I think so.
And and then you ladle it. Maria's signing over here, ladling on the sauce on top of the chicken when you already put it on. No mayonnaise or anything. It was just buns with chicken, and then another bun, and then no sauce. Yeah. We didn't have any milk too.
Yeah, no milk.
No milk. I took it like a champ. Yeah. But I ate that sandwich, and the sandwich is not really that big. I don't know. We have a prop here. This isn't for the chicken sandwich, but the sandwich was maybe, I don't know, like, you see this mango, maybe like the circumference of it. I don't know if you guys know what that word means. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. And then it took me 20 minutes to eat that one sandwich.
See, this is where I think that the ghost chili got to his head, because this was a gourmet burger size from Sam's Club that was huge. That's how come we got 5 or 6 chicken wings. That was the wing and the drumstick put on this burger and dipped it in the sauce. And it was the sauce that we had in the metal mixing bowl that we had on the burner that we has mixed with Frank's Red Hot Sauce, Jack Daniel's hot sauce with some butter. Yeah.
There was another pepper in there too. I don't know if it was a Chinese pepper.
Did we? No, we didn't have any habaneros on that one.
It was a small pepper. I remember it was like, maybe it was regular chili pepper. Maybe
it might have been a regular. Was it the chili pepper?
No. Oh yeah, the Thai chilies.
Oh, that's right.
Dang
that's
it.
right. Yeah.
Damn, you guys.
This is where I kind of felt bad, because I after that, like, he took the money, and we gave it to him, and then it was like, all hail the king, and then we didn't see him for like 3 days after that. But I
slept fine. I slept fine. My stomach was okay. I'll talk about it a little bit.
Your stomach was good. It was one of those, like, in the heat of the moment, because I think you had smoke coming out of your nose and your mouth, and it was pretty bad, because while you were eating it, a good friend of mine was here on island, and he was like, oh, it can't be that bad, and he stuck his finger in the bowl and he put it across he jumped in the water after that, and so he came back,
because I didn't jump in the water.
That's why I'm not going to say his name, but he jumped in the water, and he came back in after maybe like an hour, and he was just like, I don't want nothing to do with any of that stuff. Don't even dare or try to trick me into doing whatever it is. So that was the era of
Well, okay. So a little bit about my stomach. All right. My stomach was, it was warm for 3 days. It was warm. Like it wasn't like hot. It wasn't like it didn't feel like my intestines were burning or anything. It was just warm for 3 days, and I didn't have a bad bathroom break or anything. No, was very surprised about that. My ass wasn't on fire. All right, it was my ass was fine. I don't know how I survived that. Maybe I was built different, but I took it like a champ. No, no milk. I didn't drink milk. No, that wasn't the first time. That wasn't the last time I did a spicy challenge though. I actually did other ones. I'll tell you guys about the other ones after. But, but yeah, it was an interesting era for food because we would barbecue a lot, right?
and that turned into a good experience because I was able to get into steak a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, you remember
Yeah.
we got into it was like, hey, call up the guys, hey, we're doing steak and shrimp tonight, and it was just like everybody came over
And poker, steak, shrimp, and poker.
right, yeah, and poker night.
Yep.
And then it just turned out to be a poker night, and then everybody came over and they knew steak and shrimp.
Big
And
beans.
then
You know what I mean?
right. And then we started like feeding, like people just started coming from the neighborhood, and we were just feeding them. It was, oh yeah, just come eat, man. The neighbors started coming over, and we started holding like to me it was like one of those block parties that you see where now it's like huge all around in Kailua, but you have to like pay to get in and do that stuff. We were
Sure.
doing that stuff for free.
Yeah.
You know, we were shutting down houses and parks, and we were just out there with 5, 6 tents and tables, and we were just, hey, all of that party right there, and all of that party, and everybody from that party, none of them have food. Bring them over here and tell them make a plate. And everybody just went out there and was just like, hey, and I just stood there and I was just like, come, make a plate, or I'm gonna make a pan and I'm gonna bring it over there. And they came over. Oh, thank you so much. We were feeding the homeless over at the beaches and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a, oh, hey, here,
Mm-hmm.
look at what I'm doing. Take a picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it for the gram,
Yeah.
Or, hey, tell all your friends about me,
Yeah.
It was just man, you hungry? I got tons of food. Just tell me how you like it. Did I do something wrong? Or, like, hey, could I have done something better? And,
This was like almost every weekend too.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be pretty good. And we got it to the point where the seasoning for the steak turned out really good.
Mm-hmm.
We started learning how to make things here and there. But it wasn't until we moved to the mainland where I understood why and where it was all going to lead to.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved out from Kaneohe, we practically was in a predicament where we had no place else to go. I had lost my career job, and it was, Auntie Terry ended up passing away, and they were going to renovate the house and everything, so we couldn't stay there anymore. We had the opportunity to move to the mainland, so we decided to take the opportunity. And I don't know, for some reason I take after my dad, so I never filled out any of the Hawaiian Homes paperwork. I qualify for it, but I never filled it out. My dad was always, you want something, you're gonna go work for it. My first car, oh, I wanted it, you better go work for it, pay for it yourself. Oh, I wanted a toy, well, go do your chores, go work for it, do something. So when we got to the mainland, we got everything set up, which was weird, just being in a different location. But then when you started craving home and realizing that, oh, you can't get home here, then it goes from, okay, if I can't go out and buy it, then I gotta make it. So I started figuring out how to make what I liked.
And bringing it to the mainland. Or introducing it.
Yeah, we ended up introducing it to the mainland, which it turned into, like, we used to go to Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, once a month. And we were dying for a garlic shrimp. But if you ever ate at Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, you can't replicate that unless you know how to make that. And I spent weeks trying to figure it out. And I figured it out. Kalua pig, everybody has in the mainland, everybody has similar recipes. Pulled pork, or pork butt, crock pot, cover it so many hours. But to me, that didn't taste like home. So I started changing it up. I put it in the oven. I did this. And then I was like, okay, if I was at home and I owned a restaurant, the restaurant can't emu pork every day. How do they make it? So I started making some calls. And Uncle Keith from Kaneke's.
Oh, okay.
Spent some time talking to him. Then he was just flat out, the way you make it is you got to make sure that everything is strictly restaurant grade, but substitute. So emu, substitute for your oven. Don't substitute anything else. So we had to figure out, okay, how do I get tea leaf? You can't ship tea leaf from Hawaii to the mainland. That was a hard lesson to learn.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Customs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Customs won't allow like plants to go through the mail. Unless it's like certain size or certain, like seeds are okay, but you can't just like go and grab a plant and ship it, right?
Does that have to do with like drugs, maybe?
Something like that, yeah. And then seasons. You have to figure out seasons as well. If anybody that's lived in the mainland, you know, you got your cold season, you got your hot season. Yeah, people are real about that. But then if you live in a certain area of the mainland, well, then you know what I'm talking about when you hear Hell's Gate. You know what I'm talking about when you hear black ice.
Okay.
You know, all of this stuff affects plants, and this is all the stuff that I had to learn when I lived in the mainland, because my job currently works with plants, with one of them. So I had to figure out how to substitute, and banana leaves are actually pretty good. But there's a specific banana leaf that you can get that's dried that you can rehydrate and utilize that in the mainland.
Okay.
And it gives a certain quality, not like tea leaf, but certain quality that's similar to it.
Mm.
And that took months to figure out,
Mm.
you know.
And you did this operation at your house?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Not gonna lie, Kailua. Can't talk about Kailua without talking about boots and kimos.
Yeah.
You can't not live in Kailua without knowing what macadamia nut pancakes are.
Mm.
I can never replicate their recipe, but I got pretty close.
Mm.
And I got so close that when we started to, we created our own Hawaiian food catering company.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we were cooking the food, we lived in a townhouse that was like condos, gated community. And I mean, what did I do here? It's the same thing I did up there.
Mm.
I fed the whole community.
Mm.
You know, I knocked on all the doors. Hey, we live right next door over at, what is our name? What was ours? 20D. We're from Hawaii. We love feeding people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through all my recipes, trying to make sure that it's good. Can you taste it?
Mm.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can taste it. And what did I do? I gave them plates.
Mm.
Plates. Came to the point where we actually, it was a 4-building full 2 trees, and it was a full courtyard,
Mm-hmm.
fountain in the middle. We packed the whole place out like it was a concert, and all we were doing was cooking and having people taste locomocos.
Oh, okay.
They didn't know what it was. We made
So simple,
locomocos, right? We made locomocos and Asahi bowl cups with mochi waffles.
Okay. Interesting.
$10.
That's a pretty good price.
People were going crazy over this thing.
Hmm.
And it was only because I missed home. I missed eating the foods at home. You can't get chicken katsu out there.
Really?
Where we live,
Oh.
we couldn't get chicken katsu. I lived in the South.
Hmm.
I'm talking about Mississippi South.
Okay.
I'm talking about where people can't talk Newtonese. You can't talk Newtonese. You can't. I had to speak their language.
Mm.
I
They call you Kelly instead of Kelly.
Oh, they were I had a number for my name
Okay.
for a year.
You had a number.
My number was number 9.
Okay.
Okay. It was so bad that in my phone I started this Instagram page called Uncle Brada, and it's all about what you'll experience by moving to the mainland.
Mm.
I was Mexican. They asked me,
Okay.
where's my green card?
Oh, okay.
They asked me, oh, you're from Hawaii? How long is the drive?
Mm.
We were told to go back to our country. I said, I would love to. Call them, send me back home. Sure. So just by us missing home, we had to figure out how to bring home to us.
Mhm.
And with the help from my family, they shipped us cases and cases of chocolate covered macadamia nuts and to this day I still think we have like 3 of the Sam's Club size lihimoi powder.
Okay.
One is good for 10 years.
Yeah.
One is good for 10 years. Please, if you got family on the mainland,
Or if you
Don't.
mix it with ghost chili, Ghost chili limoy.
if you got a family member that's in college, all they need is a bag of 10 lihimoy seeds. They'll put 4 in the tequila bottle and leave it, and that's good for 3 months, 4 months, because it'll
Good idea.
ferment. Yeah. But the lihimoy powder, please, don't buy more than one. It's good. And my family thought we needed it because my wife was making lihimoy gummy bears. And she was selling them half pound for $3
Wow.
for a half pound bag.
Oh, dang.
And she would sell
That's a
out,
steal.
right? And
Still, I mean,
we were buying, at the time, we were buying 6 pounds for $6.
Jeez.
So we were still making money off of it.
Huh.
But it was kind of a more of a icebreaker. Oh, try these. These are how we, gummy bears.
It's like a drug dealer. Hey, try this. Try this crack.
Right?
This crack gummy bears over here.
And then we go from, you can take these and soak them in some alcohol and it'll swell up. And they're a lot better than Jello shots. Because I'm sorry, but I choked on one too many Jello shots. I ain't doing that again.
Well, how did you choke on that?
Because they put them in the little,
I never choked on a Jello shot, man.
So, okay. This is how.
Hey, you just slurp it.
Yeah. So when they put it in the plastic cup,
Yeah.
that's good. But when they put it in these kind of cups, don't drink that.
Just get a spoon.
No, yeah. They don't serve spoons when you get that. So when you're over there trying to slurp it and you're like, and then it goes down your throat and you're over here choking and coughing and all you see is red come flying out, people kind of freak out.
Red. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's, of course, going to be watermelon Jello.
Sometime mine was blue.
And then the fruits, take lihimoy powder and put it on the fruits.
Oh, okay. Ooh, like lihimoy, like lemon peels or something. Or on
We did,
apples. Oh.
apples.
That's a good idea.
We did like a lihimoy fruit basket for Noi's birthday,
Okay.
and all the kids were going crazy over that stuff. All the parents were like, "Oh, kids are eating fruits. It's a lot better than putting sugar on your sugar, right?" But
Put it on vegetable. Hey, kids eating their vegetables.
so
Add some broccoli,
it's
Don't do that.
bringing the culture out there was something we enjoyed doing, and the people out there enjoyed it, and it ended up coming to be where the word spread. And what we did was once a month, we called it adopt a business. We would pick a business, walk in there, talk to the manager, and just tell them, hey, we own this business and you guys won a raffle and we're going to feed your whole crew for free. And when we did that, like we did that for Jimmy John's up there. And when we did that, they would not stop ordering from us. And all we did was we picked one plate lunch from 11 to 2 o'clock, delivered every day. One menu item every day was different. Teriyaki chicken, fried rice, Loco Moco.
Yeah.
Well, we did hamburger steak because I didn't want the egg to get hard.
Yeah.
Friday, it was always garlic shrimp. And Friday, we sold out always before noon. And then we started getting to be like, we started meeting Polynesians up there. Samoan guys and everything. And it was funny because people were like, "Oh, you're from Hawaii. Oh, I know some Samoan people too." yeah, so you're Samoan. And I was like, no, I'm Hawaiian. Yeah, Samoan.
They're gonna be disappointed when if I went up there and I said I'm from Hawaii, they're gonna go, "Oh, you're Samoan." I'll be like, "No, I'm far from that. Sorry."
It was, I don't know, like it was crazy. But then come to find out, one of these guys actually knew a Samoan guy, and we started talking with them. We actually catered their wedding.
Wow.
And we did the full come over to our house, and we'll make a bunch of sample dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So we made miso salmon,
Mm-hmm.
of course the shrimp. We made ribs
Oh.
because we're in the south.
Okay.
But we did.
Oh, you did
No.
one set? Oh.
We kept it all kind of like a Hawaiian local kind of a theme.
Yeah, so you probably did like the fried noodles maybe. You did fried noodles?
No, we never did fried noodles because they wanted to keep it with the rice
Oh, okay.
as the starch, and then two main dishes, and then the dessert, which we did haupia,
Mm.
and that one was pretty good because it's one thing when you go to the store and you buy the pack and then you make it, but it kind of comes out like a Jello kind of a
Yeah.
version. But when you make it from scratch, that's way better because that's when you get more of that cornstarch consistency.
Yeah.
That's the old style.
Mhm.
So when they tasted that, they were like, "Oh, we need pans of this stuff," because they
Okay.
haven't come across that. And then where we were, it was hard to get the right kind of coconut milk. So when the wedding went off, right after the wedding, it was graduation season.
Mhm.
These guys were talking it up. Word of mouth blew up. We ended up doing graduation after graduation. And so it was kind of a, we've heard this before, mouth open, business open.
Mhm.
If you're not talking about it, if you're not sharing it, you're not,
Nobody's
You're-
gonna know about it.
you're closed, you know?
Mhm.
And then at the same time, you have to be excited about it too,
Mhm.
And all that was just talking about, hey, we're getting everything started up for Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
And Valentine's Day, we were doing plate lunches for sending out. We actually made poke.
Mm.
We found a place that sells frozen poke,
Okay.
and we bought them by the blocks.
Mhm.
We defrosted it, sliced it up, and we brought it out. We had this big party, and people were like,
What is this?
raw fish? And I was like, yeah, this is how we serve it in Hawaii. And then they're, oh, you're Hawaiian?
Mm. I wonder if it's because the ingredients that maybe will get shipped to the main. So like if you went to like Seattle, right? The availability for poke is pretty common. Actually, you can turn a corner. There's a poke store right there. Any corner, but that's because they're near the ocean versus like going south. I mean, if they're kind of by the border where like Mexico is, it's not really like they have to get fish imported in.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they never tried raw fish because they never tried it so fresh like that.
It's possible. I would say it is going to be a part of the ability to get it because like here
Mm-hmm.
you go to any sushi restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and instantly you'll find raw tuna,
Salmon.
crab, salmon, hamachi,
Mhm.
all of this stuff. where we were in the mainland, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this place called Grand China, and it's like 100-item buffet for $7.99. I was like, oh my god, this is heaven.
It's like a golden corral.
And I walked in there and I was like, this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna hit all the sushi first. And I get there and it's like 50% of the sushi, all of the raw fish was substituted with what is that? Philadelphia cream cheese.
So it was just it was just cream cheese with rice.
So cream cheese. So like for instance, let's just say you do yeah, like
Okay.
let's just say you get a California roll,
Okay.
take the crab out, insert the cream cheese.
So sometimes with avocado, maybe. Yeah.
So I looked at it and I was like,
It's kind of gross.
well, what is that? And the guy was like, oh, that's the cheese. And I was like, mozzarella cheese? He's like, cream cheese. And I was like,
It's so strange.
okay. So I took it and I tried it. I never, because we know, you know, what
sushi
real
is.
tuna tastes like. You know, I used to work at the Midweek Star Bulletin, where my shop steward, great guy, he would take us on his boat to go fishing for tuna. And his rule was, we leave before it's dark, we come back when it's dark, or we leave before the sun comes up. we leave while it's dark, and we come back and it's still dark. You know, if you get sick, I don't care. That's what the over the side of the boat is. You will drive the boat. You will do your part, but you will get a portion of the fish. And I was like, the first time he caught the first tuna, and it was huge, and we put everything inside. We came back, and he was slicing it up and everything. He just busted out his, you know, his burners and his pan, and it was just like, he slices the first slice, and he's like, this is the sashimi part. Taste it. And it was like butter. And then I went to, you know, the mainland, and they're substituting the butter with cream cheese. And I was like, and it was half of all of that.
Oh.
The rest of it was like shredded imitation crab
Okay.
that they made.
Okay.
So for us, the entire time that we were up there, it was like, okay, sushi is not sushi. So we had to figure out, okay, how do we get, because poke bowls. We were
Just
dying.
cream cheese bowls then. It would just be cream cheese bowls. It's these blocks of cream cheese
Right?
with rice.
So we started off
gross,
with
man.
imitation crab with sriracha and mayo and you know, some furikake
Yeah.
over hot rice, and then tried that, and that was okay. But it was still like missing the mark,
Yeah.
you know. And then for a while we were surviving on, which now all of a sudden people are making a big deal out of, spam bowls, where it's spam with furikake and teriyaki sauce and all of that stuff.
Deconstructed musubi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But if you live in the mainland, raise your hand, because you know you've been doing this for years already. You chop up the spam, you throw it over hot rice. I've been doing this since I was like kid. You ain't got you growing up poor, you ain't got nothing to do. Fry up some spam, put it in a bowl, teriyaki sauce, and you know your teriyaki sauce when you was 6 years old was shoyu and sugar. You mix them up, put them in the microwave, and then when it comes out, you mix them up, you pour them all over the bowl. Ketchup, because you 6, and then you eat them like that. So, and then when nobody's home, you make on pot rice just for yourself. That's how come you look like this. So
I still do that. No, just kidding.
that's how come my pot rice went from the big Instapot rice to like this size now. So
Oh, did you see mine? Mine was pretty small too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So
It's like your dog. It's a small thing.
when we found the and it was out of all places, it was Sam's Club, and it was $14 for 2 pounds, and it was frozen blocks, and it was like 4 blocks or 5 blocks, and we took it out, defrosted it, sliced it up, and I was like, I want to know if this is good enough. So I just sliced a nice little slice, chopped it up, and I ate it raw, just like that. And it was maybe because I was already on the mainland for over a year and a half, but it was, to me, it was, it wasn't cream cheese.
Wasn't cream cheese.
So
Wasn't a block of cream cheese that they cut up.
So we made poke right then and there, and then I went ahead and made a whole thing, took it, and then people were like, at my job, at the time that I made it, people were like trying out this super hot, spicy drips on their tongue. And I was like, hey, you guys want to try something really crazy? Try this. And then they were like, oh, and one of the guys was that raw fish? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what is that? It's like shoyu and onion and so he took it out and he was like, I'll try it. And he took it out, he ate it. He's like, oh, that's good. And then all of a sudden everybody came and they started trying it. And that's how we ended up starting a trend. Poke by the pound up in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, started selling. And people were just like, how do you get these people to like try this stuff? Like when somebody came up to us, remember, we were buying spam, okay? It was so bad that one of the like when stuff doesn't sell, they send it to this one, like, well, there's a couple of places, but there's this one place called Treasure Hunt, and it's practically like think of like a Savers
for food.
For everything.
Oh, okay.
Food, shoes, clothes, and it was like everything is on discount. And they had Sam's Club size 8-pack spam for $8.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap.
Is it because they didn't know how to fry it?
Exactly.
I mean,
I grabbed it
so they just eat it
and
raw.
I put it down and then like I took it and I was catching. Somebody was like, oh, what are you going to do with that? I'm like, I'm going to eat it. And they're like, oh, you eat that stuff? I feed that stuff to my dog. And I'm like, why? You don't eat this stuff? It's like, no, that thing is disgusting. And I was like, how did you eat it? I just opened up the can and started eating it. I was like, that's disgusting. I don't know how people can do that. You open it up, you fold it out, you slice it thin, you fry it like bacon, then you eat it like that. You don't have a rice cooker because we're in Mississippi. Put it on bread and make a sandwich with some eggs.
Yeah.
Oh. The next day, we brought that person a breakfast plate.
Okay.
They went home and bought spam.
Well, why is that though? Like they just don't understand that you could just fry it like it's like bologna. I mean, you can fry bologna, but some people don't like bologna because they just eat it like that. Like they just eat it raw like that. And I'm like, what?
I don't know. So it was.
So the guy experienced euphoria after eating some spam.
Yeah,
Fried
and
spam.
it was like crazy. And then we bought that pack because we were making spam musubis for a church event. We ended up joining up with this church that sat on like 10 acres. And it was the biggest church I've ever seen. And these guys were like straight up like honest, loving guys,
Mm-hmm.
pure brothers. Um, this is right around the time where we lost my daughter, our daughter Elena, and it was just devastating to us. And this church brought us in and was just like, anything you need, let us know. And I didn't know how to repay them, so I just was cooking for them. And then they were like, hey, just well, they started just buying everything we were cooking, and I just started I made this tray of musubis. I took the musubi, I chopped it in half, opened it up, put sesame seeds on top. I took it to this event. This place is so big, they had their own fireworks display.
Okay.
And anytime they threw big parties, they had a stage, concert, bands playing. Coca-Cola would come and like feed everybody for free, sodas, hot dogs. But it was always sodas and hot dogs. So I started bringing food. I mean, everybody kind of like potlucked.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, I brought stuff, and people were like, what is that? And I was like, oh, those are musubis.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, musubi? What? What is that? And I was like, here, just try it. Just try it. And one of the guys, Dave, big guy too, grabs it. And he takes a bite out of it. And the first bite was a small bite. The second bite inhales the whole thing. And then he just sits there next to the table in arm's reach of the first pan. And he just eats half the pan.
God.
And he was just like, for the rest of the week, he just kept asking, hey, can you make me some of those musubis? And I was like, yeah, just let me know. And then when we went, we actually drove down to Biloxi, came across this Asian fusion store that cooked like ramen and bulgogi fries. And you could just see him. It says musabis, and I was like, "What? Well, oh, mushubis,
Mushubis.
mushubis." And I was like,
Okay.
"What is a mushubi?" And he's like, "Oh, it's got like canned processed meat." And I was like, "Are you talking about spam? Is it spam and rice wrapped in nori?" He's like, "Yeah, that's it." And I was like, "It's called musubi. Take the H out." And he's like, I was like, "Dude, I'm from Hawaii. Trust me. Hawaii knows spam more than the entire world put together." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, look it up." We actually like created this whole thing.
Yeah, we don't
And,
use cream cheese in place of fish.
Yeah. And so it's actually, they don't know because here every gas station has musubis.
Musubis. Yeah.
Spam, chicken, hot dog. Up there, every gas station has hot dogs and pizza.
Oh, okay.
No, nothing. They have corn dogs. They have Young Brothers Pizza.
Oh, okay.
They have all of this stuff. And it's these little things where you can walk up and you order you like a pizza. There's a lot of different gas stations, but there's this one gas station that we went there, and there's like a Kentucky Fried Chicken, home kind style chicken place in the gas station. So you walk in there, you fill up gas, and then it's crazy. The one thing about the mainland is you're gonna experience stuff that you will not experience here.
Yeah, mushubis.
Gas station.
That's a new one.
Yeah. So they ended up fixing it, and they were like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I was like, "Yeah, crazy." But it's the difference is, see, so as much as they don't know, we don't know either. And so, it's the education from us to them with the culture. It's the same way this way, but it's good.
Very interesting. Yeah, how the mainland is different. So I want to talk about this because we're talking about your experience in the mainland now, because like for me, I've been debating about moving to the mainland. Not because of like how difficult it is here, just because honestly we could afford a house if we wanted to, like if we could buy a house. like put out down payment and everything and pay for the mortgage. But like I'm kind of iffy about like if I want to like live here in general. There's places in the mainland I have an idea about living just because like West Coast is kind of closer to Hawaii, so the vibe is pretty much almost the same. If you go to like Seattle or like you go to like Oregon, even Oregon was interesting because I'll tell you my experience with Oregon real quick. Oregon, Portland is like downtown Honolulu but on crack because
Yeah.
because everything is so disorganized. It's like you turn a corner, everything is one way. You just go, you don't even know where you're going. You need a GPS in order to drive around Portland. And we had friends that lived up there for over a year, maybe over 2 years, and they don't even know how to traverse through Portland still. That's how crazy it is.
Yep.
We went there. I remember we drove somewhere, and there was a guy sitting on top of a car while the car is moving, literally on the side, like they were next to us. This one guy was just sitting on top of the car, like yelling. I don't know if he was on drugs or something, but like I was like, well, this must be the norm in Oregon. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or in Portland, but like outside of keep Portland weird, like Kelsey was saying. But like outside of Portland was like Mililani, like the different cities were like it was like Mililani on almost the lots of trees, everything. So like for me, I was like looking at those places and I'm like, oh, that's something that I want to go. But you guys were living in the South, so it's completely different. But I guess my question is like for you guys to come back here, what was the reasoning for that?
So the I would have to say because Hawaii is moving towards the we can no longer live in Hawaii. It's getting to be where people in Hawaii are getting forced out. Not saying that that's you guys, but it's a mixture of everybody in the world is coming into Hawaii, forcing people out. It's getting uncomfortable. And then also some other, there's another group that's looking to expand into the mainland. When we moved into the mainland, we kind of had a idea of what to expect. My wife did because she had already lived. She had gone to college at USM. She had and she knew kind of what the area looked like, but it had already changed at this point over time and with the culture and everything. So the one thing, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get my Instagram. I haven't had the time with everything going on. You're gonna experience things that it's gonna come out of left field, and you have to be prepared for it. So, like everybody right now is like, oh, I got friends right now. It's like, oh, if I go to Arizona right now, they're gonna pay me twice as much that they do than I get paid here. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good for pay. But one thing that I learned is when we moved to the area that we lived in the South, I mean, to be real, okay, so we're going to change it up and we're going to be honest here. Where we lived was the cheapest state in the country. After some time, I started to realize that just because it's cheap and everything was affordable doesn't mean that it's well off. Because cheap means cheap people. So we came across a lot of things that I never thought I would have experienced with my kids. You know, for instance, racism. You know, racism where we were at changed. Where we were living, it completely did a 180. And nobody of any race wanted to speak up towards one specific race because they didn't want, like, they were too afraid, or, you know, whatever the issue was. And you know, I understand the history of that point. You know, Hawaii, sad to say, we have some of our own problems. We're not racial here because we're such a big melting pot. But I had to explain to my kids that you no longer are reading it in a book or being taught it in a classroom. You're now experiencing it. You know, my oldest daughter ended up getting paralyzed, sending to the hospital just because she was white and tiny. You know, so when we were where we were, any chance that I got, we traveled, and that was our way of educating. Because I knew after a certain point, when we went out to the mainland, I was like, holy crap, I could buy a house for $100,000. And this was like 1,400 square feet, 3-bedroom house, sitting on 1 acre land.
Wow.
You know, and I was like, and it wasn't one house. It was houses. I seen renovation houses for $53,000. I had a friend of mine up there that would buy these rental houses, fix them up, rent them out, and then that was his retirement plan. The house that we were looking at was 6-bedroom, 2 stories, sitting on a lake. Drive-in, sitting on 3/4 acre, and this is $370,000.
Jeez.
So, you know, the thought that it was, hey, we can make it out here, was exciting. But where we were, medical was hard to get. State didn't help out with medical. State didn't help out with any financial kind of assistance. Yeah, so like for instance, here in Hawaii, if you're a family of say 5, well, you are like $100,000 before you're capped off at any kind of assistance from the state. In Mississippi, a family of 4, $680, and you're capped off.
Interesting.
So the idea of, oh, I'm going to get paid twice as much that I get paid in Hawaii, that's all great, but you cannot stop there. You have to look at everything. So what I say to everybody that is thinking about moving to the mainland, you have to look at every single thing that will touch your life. Not only do you have to look at your pay, your job, You have to look at how much your job makes.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if I was to move to, let's just say, Oregon, just Portland,
Yeah.
and I work for a, let's just say, a Walmart, or a store like that. Well, I would want to know how much does that store profit each year. Because if they're not profiting and they're losing money, well, they have the potential for shutdown. So how many years do you think it'll take before they end up closing that store, putting you out of a job?
Right.
So that's one of the avenues that I think people don't look at. I mean, it's all said and good because people right now are mad at everything that's going on in Hawaii. And I'm not going to lie, when you move away from Hawaii, you then have the ability to become more Hawaiian. And what I mean is, notice how everybody in the mainland celebrate Hawaii more than Hawaii, right? Because people in Hawaii don't have time for that. You have first responders that work a full-time job, and then they have to go work a part-time job. I mean, you remember him? He was working with us over at Sears.
Yeah.
And he took every single minute of extra work he could just so that way he can not lose his house. So when we were in the mainland and we started to look at, hey, these people aren't stressing over rent. We started looking at 19-year-old kids owning Dodge Chargers, Challengers.
Okay. Interesting.
Shoot, I had a 16-year-old boy that worked for me that had a Toyota Tacoma, brand new, two-door extended cab. He just put Swamper tires on it, and his dad just bought a lift kit for him.
Okay.
4-wheel drive, and he's using it at his dad's farm. People will stress less when you give them time to think about other stuff than going to work to have to provide. I mean, that's the basic bottom line. The mainland, you have the ability to work one job to pay for your entire family. Thus the reason for stressing less. But what else are you going to stress about?
Yeah, different things to think
So
about.
if you're thinking about moving to the mainland, you have to make a list of every single thing, and I say 50 things that you cannot live without, and then expect to only hit 10. If you can hit 10 and you're satisfied with that, then that's something to really consider. But if you do not even hit 10, then it's something that might not work out for you. But you gotta make a list of 50 things and expect to hit 10. And it's not like, I can't live without L&L. Well, I mean, that's all cool. You go to, not gonna lie, I was in Mississippi and I found the one L&L in Mississippi. But I figured out how to make it. I figured out how to make katsu. I figured out, I figured out how to make Zippy's mac and cheese. I mean, not mac and cheese. Zippy's mac salad.
I don't know Zippy's mac and cheese too.
I figured out how to make Zippy's mac salad, but at the same time, we ended up also figuring out what real smoked brisket tasted like. Smoked mac and cheese.
With the smoke ring on the brisket.
Oh man,
Yeah.
amazing. These guys were award winning,
Mm.
and they lived the first corner leaving our condo.
Mm.
So substitutions, yeah,
Mhm.
it's gonna happen. But I'm talking about things that you know you cannot live with. If you rely on that EBT and you get $1,500 worth because you got 7 kids, if you can't get $1,500 worth of EBT in the mainland, you better be making $1,500 extra money,
Mm.
because that's a huge, huge marker right there.
Mhm.
That's income that you won't see.
Mhm.
You know, um, medical. If you get medical through the state here, there's a lot of places in the mainland that don't give adults medical just because you have kids.
Mhm.
So if you rely on that medical in Hawaii, that's something you got to think about.
Mm.
You know, family. Where we were, the only real reason my whole family, we didn't see any of them,
Mhm.
but her family, if it wasn't for her family, we would have had a real problem. But her family, they all came through and took care of the kids. They came. Her mom actually moved out of her house in Texas and moved in with us.
Mm. Mhm.
And she stayed with us for over a year.
Mm.
And she, sad to say, but she was grandma, you know? So you got to make the real list of things that you need. And it's not alcohol, it's the things that you rely on for the day to day, you know?
Yeah, just to get through things. Yeah.
And if you can get there and you all of a sudden, out of the list of 50, and you got 30 of them, and you found out that, hey, we'll be better off in California
Mhm.
or Oregon, try to stay away from the green chilies in Arizona and New Mexico. Man, I got so sick eating those green chilies. Then that's how you know where you need to sit down and have the real conversation.
Mm.
That's when you need to talk.
Mm.
Not now.
Mhm.
You need to make the list first. Then you need to talk.
Mm. Well, fortunately for us, we haven't talked about. There's maybe 3 things we could think of a list of 50. I would say we could do all 47, but there's those last 3 that might be a little tough for us. But I don't think,
Bogus sugar.
I don't think we could talk about it on we could talk about it on here. But it was just 3 things that keeping us kind of here. So it's unfortunately that's the gist of it. But I could think 47 of it. We could probably cross out, right, Kels? It's just 3 things, but we've talked about it. So, but like right now, we're living pretty comfortably. I mean, you've seen our house, so and we're next to the highways and stuff, so we get around town and everything super easily, and
Yeah.
we work from home. I mean, things have been pretty good for us, you know. I'd say for myself, I mean, you guys seen my living situation before, or even like what I was doing before. But like now, I'm able to just advance. I was able to advance everything, here, which I'm pretty happy about because I was able to grow it here, and build it here. And then if I was to even transfer that same kind of mentality to the mainland, I probably could make it even more then. But like you were saying, it's a conversation. But even for people that are listening, that are even struggling here, trying to figure out, moving to the mainland is it a difference maker? And I agree. Like with people thinking, you're gonna make exponentially more money, but like, what else are you gonna give up then? You might be giving up friends that lifelong friends that you've known for a long time that you're not gonna. You got to gain new friends in the mainland, or you unfamiliar with an environment, family. You don't have any. If you have kids, family, being able to rely on certain things there's there's a lot of luxury here because we're so centralized. There's people here, there's community here that we're so used to. But that even goes for people in the mainland. I mean, maybe someone lived in the Oregon for their whole entire life, but moving to another place just brings it's a different situation, you know.
That's
And
why.
then we're gonna get to the prop.
So, mango.
Okay.
How many trees around Hawaii do you think? There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of the number right now.
You know how many countries use the mango?
No, I don't know.
Almost all of them.
Mm.
You know how many states in the mainland doesn't have a mango?
No.
Most of them.
Hmm.
So, in Hawaii, we take one thing and we make the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to the mainland, you have to figure out how to make it work without. So,
Substituting it.
for us, we had to figure out how to make it work without any of it.
Mm.
And that's work all in its own.
Mm.
And when we came home, oh, we ate the hell out of some mangoes. But just the one thing about Hawaii is that because we're such high pace, everything in Hawaii is just going. That's why, sorry. Notice businesses, restaurants. Notice how when they open up, they're either going to be really good or they're going to shut down fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something that you know is really, really good, it might work out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else to think about too.
Mm-hmm.
And with the mango, there's 100 million mangoes all around Hawaii. Everybody in Hawaii is using the mango.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can take something like this and go to the mainland where nobody's using it and make something, that might benefit you as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another idea.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just think about something negative. If you have an idea that you know will work or you believe will work, take the leap.
Mm.
I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Come back.
Yeah.
You know, you got family here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a beach.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, half the Hawaiians live on the beach anyways. Come why not? You know, they're all sleeping on the side of the road. But don't be afraid to try.
Mm.
If it doesn't work, got to make sure you have that exit plan to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but try. You got to try. Because if you don't try, you'll never know. I mean, we tried it, but we just had to come home.
Just to wrap up things, what's maybe some like last remarks you have for people before we sign off today?
Don't be afraid. What did she say?
Yeah, she said, "Feed my belly."
Oh, yeah, eat. And don't eat sushi with cream cheese.
Well, in place of fish.
No, I mean if you have an idea, don't sit on it. Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're working, and you're working at a job, we call it a job. It you got to remember it takes the most time, the best time, and practically sucks all your life, the best time out of your life. You know, by the time you finish and you retire, you'll be old, and if you don't go for it now, you'll waste your time.
Right.
So go for it. You know, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they put their shorts on the same way you put your shorts on. They put their pants on. I don't care who they are. I've met CEOs, I've met presidential people, and I'm honest, and I walk straight up to them, and it's come to the point where we've shut down walks just to talk. So, you know, if you got an idea, don't sit on it. Speak about it before somebody else thinks about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are thinking about moving to the mainland, make the list.
Or message you. We could DM you, right?
And then you got to have fun. No matter what you do, at work, at home, you got to have fun. Because if it ain't fun, you won't remember it. And then if you don't remember it,
Yeah, it's just wasted time then. Yeah.
I don't care who my managers are. I've shut my departments down just to have fun. And people at my job are like, "Can you do that?" Like, yes, because you guys deserve it. I've shut my department down just to feed them. And I'm talking about like hours, and I fed them steak and shrimp. Because they deserve it. It's never an employee's job to make the manager's job easy. That's not their job. Their job is to make my job harder. You know why? Because I need to figure out each and every one of them and get all of them to work as a team. So go for it. Go for it.
And with that, do you have any way of people reaching out to you? You know, through IG? Can they DM you on Instagram?
The Uncle Brada on
Uncle
IG.
Brada? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. UNKOBRADA is the best one. That's the one I'm trying to do for the mainland one. So, yeah,
Okay,
Uncle
cool.
Brada.
Yeah, at Uncle Brada. And then shout outs to Eric, Everyday Better. Honestly, probably one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever worn in my entire life.
Yeah, my daughter and my wife has some shirts and stuff.
Yeah, they're great shirts. Great message, great quality shirts. I'm glad it's kind of blowing up in the mainland as well. So there's people in Florida I see that wear it. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's an amazing brand. And once again, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. And we're gonna Kampai. That's what I do every show. So you don't even have a drink anymore.
I know. I sucked it all down already.
You sucked it all down. I was trying to save mine.
I didn't know.
Can we get some?
Here, grab a little bit more.
Okay. Now that we got a drink, I don't know where we cut back in. Keali'i, this is to you. This is to your family. This is to you know how far we've come as friends, and you're here now. I mean, I'm here now. For the things that we've done in the past, that's a miracle. Honestly, that we're still here. So
We're alive.
we're alive. That's a miracle itself. Yeah, this is to you and to everything and to your future. Kampai.
Kampai.